Testing, testing. And we're ready to go, I think. Boom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. Again, as always, I ask, please don't forget to rate, subscribe. Please leave your comments. Keep them clean. No abusive stuff. And share the videos. Share it on your Facebook page. Tell your friends about it. And please join us on BWTM Sports channel, Facebook page, and join us as well on BWTM Sports group. Got a lot of people from the world of boxing, influential people from the world of boxing that are in there. So come in, make yourself at home, and of course, leave your comments in any videos or post your own videos in the group so we can have a chat about sport, not just boxing, but any sport. Okay, so first of all, massive shout out to Denise Ward's. I think it was to celebrate. She celebrated her wedding anniversary recently, so I think it's 20 years or more. So congratulations on that, Denise. A very strong supporter of BWTM and all the work that myself and that my wife does. So shout out to Denise Ward's, always an encourager, and people like her and many others in the world. We appreciate the support, but I had to give a massive shout out to Denise Ward's. Congratulations and thank you so much. Much love to you. Okay, so by the way, it was Denise Ward also that inspired me to do the Danny Garcia versus Rios post-fight video. I have to say that I fell asleep on this fight. Yeah, I fell asleep because, you know, I think with the commentary, sometimes it can get very tiring, and there was a lot of work that was put in. So maybe I fell asleep. I can't do the late nights anymore. Got some stamina issues. No, I'm joking. I just was tired. So without further ado, we'll talk about Danny Garcia and Brandon Rios. Let's get into that. First and foremost, talking about Brandon Rios and Danny Garcia. At the outset, when this fight was announced, I was one of those people that was saying, Brandon Rios, this is another recycled fighter. This is a guy who wasn't living their life as a fighter. You know, not a guy for me that is defensively responsible, takes lots of punches on his face, doesn't move his head. Good fighter down at lightweight, where, you know, when you can bully guys at lower weight divisions, that's cool. When you start moving up in weight now, it's a different proposition because guys are hitting you back, and you know, your toughness is what you're having to rely on most of the time with Brandon Rios. Never been a real great Brandon Rios fan. In fact, I've never been a fan of generally of guys that fight with their face. I'm not saying I don't like entertaining fighters, but I don't add up guys who fight with their face, literally stop punching with their face, as boxing. I call them sluggers, and that's full well and good as long as we're not saying that's boxing, because the art of boxing, as we know, is to hit and not get hit. The sweet science. I'm interested in that. Don't get me wrong, I like a tear up, which is great, but a tear up is great when you're tearing up, but at the same time, while you're tearing up, you can also revert to having a very good defense. When you're on the ropes, you're tucking up, you're throwing punches, you know, in a exchange, you're throwing fast combinations, you're slipping out of the way, you're not pulling straight back from punches, you're understanding distance and timing, and when to throw punches and when not to throw them. You know, getting away, throwing great shots. And when a guy lands a good shot on you, it's because they do land a good shot because they've earned that shot. So maybe it's just a mindset. But yeah, I've never been a big fan of these guys that just stick their chin in the way and stop punches like a goalkeeper. Stop shots like a goalkeeper. I'm not interested, really. So predictably, Brandon Rios would say that he was going to do this and he was going to do that, and he's going to be in the best shape of his life, and blah, 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 and pull up some hype and say he's going to knock Danny Garcia out. That wasn't going to happen because Rios don't punch hard enough to knock Danny Garcia out. So, you know, I could, if Keith Thurman couldn't knock him out, if Lucas Matisse couldn't knock him out, if Zab Judah couldn't knock him out, there was no way, hell no, was the Brandon Rios going to knock out Danny Garcia. Yes, it's entertaining, and you know, a little bit of mouth and a back chat here and there, and sure, that makes it entertaining for fans. But let's get something categorically clear here. In my opinion, there's a few fighters in the world that should be retired, but something's gone not right in their careers. That's why they're still fighting. Like, people could say to me, well, he's still fighting because he loves the sport of boxing. He loves to get hit. Well, I'm not buying that for 1 second. I think a lot of these guys are still fighting. A lot of these guys are still fighting because of financial situations. They've blown their money. They've not invested well. And now they're having to come back later in their careers to, you know, early in your career, you weren't living the lifestyle, you know, and the tail end of your career now, where you wasn't a defensive genius then. Now you come at the tail end of your career saying, I'm in the best shape of my career. Well, you might be in the best shape of your career, but all those years you've been taking punches and punches and punches. And, you know, eventually, Chin's going to say, no more. This is it, no more. I can't take too many of these big shots anymore. You're going up and down, you're blowing up and down in weight. You're not eating you're not eating the right way, and then you're trying to turn back time, but you try to turn back time with a body that you've abused over the years. So I don't see why these guys are still fighting. It's not for me to tell them when to stop fighting or not. But when you see guys like Brandon Rios fighting, you know, and they are slurring their words, it is a concern for me, and I always speak about it because you see a lot of fighters when they get injured, we hype them up and we love them until, you know, a lot of them get injured, and then we forget all about them. Unless there's a documentary about it, or the current talent is talking about it, try and turn a blind eye to it. But it's rather than turning a blind eye to it, let us talk about it, bring awareness, and teach these fighters that want to fight with their faces, with their trainers, to teach them some form of defense. You know what I mean? There's not many good trainers in the world today anymore, mentors, because the first thing here we have to look at is, when you look at the trainer today, when you see a trainer in the corner, I don't care who you're talking about today generally, and I'm not talking about guys who were in the 60s and the 70s. I'm talking about today's trainers. Ask yourself one question: when you listen to them talk, when you listen to them holding pads up, when you hear them talk in interviews, and you're seeing them going to work, ask yourself this question: who was their teacher? Who was their mentor? Who did they submit under to learn the trade? Who did they get their guidance and their wisdom? Who mentored them? You know, with Freddie Roach, we know Eddie Futch was, you know, the great Eddie Futch was in round his life. We know that Emmanuel Stewart had some great people around him at the time. James Ali Bashir had some great people who was around at the times of Muhammad Ali. He had some great people around him. You know, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, a great fighter, and again, of course, afterwards, you know, around greatness as well. So these guys, these trainers, these people who holding pads and stuff, and you see them doing the training, they're talking fast in the corner. Oh, get off and do this and that. When they're talking and when they're seeing things, their sight can be very much limited because of the lack of experience they've had around really good trainers or really good coaches, so, and and as a coach myself, not really, I talk boxing here, but from another sport, my successes, and there've been successes from grassroots right through to county cricket, county sport. At the end of the day, being able to put young people through each level and bring success, and wherever I go in tournaments with young people, there is success. I can travel from here, whether young people or adults. I'm confident in my abilities to travel from here to the other side of the world and produce a winning side. Why? Because I've submitted myself under people who are proven at what they do and are successful. So there's a successful line on where they learn their stuff from. So you look at the guys who may have played international sport at the highest level, and then they've gone and produced the goods as a coach, and you're submitting yourself under them so that you're learning their ways. You're adding your own stuff, but you're learning from them, and you've got a good solid base and foundation to come from. But a lot of these guys today, they don't have that solid foundation, so you see a lot of these guys really wanted to do all the Mayweather stuff, and they watch the Mayweather stuff, for example. A lot of these guys are getting knocked up because they all want to be Mayweather doing the pad work. But what they don't understand is Floyd himself, and this is not hype. This is not guesswork. This is facts. These are true facts. That stuff that you see Floyd do with all the pad work and that is for the camera, and only for the camera. Only for the camera. Floyd's a smart man. Floyd's the kind of man who will set you're looking this way, or Floyd's doing, Floyd's the other direction. Very smart, very clever. But you see people pick up on, see those things there, but don't understand that. Explain something to me. When Floyd's doing all that stuff on the pads and and he's doing all that stuff there, and then you see how he fights. The straight right hand is always sharp, always sharp. So he must be training differently to how he's doing all this pad work, because it doesn't relate to what he's doing there. The one thing you do see Floyd doing, you may see him slipping back and throwing the right hand. That is something you see him doing in the gym, and then you see him doing in fights. That stuff, is real and not for the camera. That's what he generally does. But there's some things that all that sort of aerobic stuff, people are using that and saying, I want my trainer to do that. That makes my trainer a good trainer. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Repetition, doing the things that you're going to do in the gym, in a fight, working on those things. That's what makes you a better trainer or makes you a better fighter. Repetition. And a great trainer is able to use repetition, but bring different ways of doing it, so you don't become stale, knowing how far to push you and when to let you go, or when not to let you go, in terms of how much to push you and when to hold you back. So coming back to Brandon Rios, and I've gone off in a tangent, but to come back to the Brandon Rios story, and not just Brandon Rios, fighters in general who decide to blow up and down in weight, and then they've got no discipline within themselves. So they've got no discipline within themselves as fighters. So how can you expect to have discipline outside the ring? So the way they're reckless there, you expect them to be reckless with their money as well. Again, this is not just Brandon Rios I'm talking now. I'm talking in general. Reckless with their money, reckless in the way they fight. So, of course, when you're reckless like that, then, I'm not saying these people haven't made money, but then if the money's that good, why are you still fighting and taking punches when you've got a beautiful wife or a beautiful girlfriend and kids and a family? You really want to be doing that? No, you hear a lot of these guys say, look, I want to retire. I just want to set up my family. I want to make sure my family is set. So these guys are coming back because they didn't do the right things. They lost big fights because they weren't in the best shape, or they were spending so much time in the gym just trying to lose the weight rather than spending that time. Just imagine, example, these guys that come into the gym or come into fights, they're coming to the gym and they're overweight. They spend the time, they have to get into camp, they have to get themselves down to the weight. Then they have to get the technical work off. Think about it this way. If you're a fighter that is already, you're not too far out your own weight, outside your own fighting weight, you know, and you're ticking over. Do you mean? So what you're doing, you've got more time working on preparation in terms of your technical skills and improving your technical skills, so you're ticking over. So I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but these are thoughts that have come to my mind when I think about the likes of Brandon Rios and so on and so forth. So a bit of a tangent I've gone off on, but they're things that definitely need to bring to my mind. So in terms of the knockout, now I'm going to relate all that I've just talked about there into the knockout of Danny Garcia. I will say this much. I noticed in the fight that Garcia didn't throw much of the left hook. A lot of right hand. So I don't know if it was strategic for Garcia to throw lots of right hands. Ironic that he knocked out Garcia, Rios with the right hand. So it looked to me that he was sparing the left hook and using a lot of the right hand. We know Garcia is left hook happy, but the right hand, the one that knocked Rios out, was a beauty, an absolute beauty. But if you look at the way Brandon Rios fell to the canvas, when he got hit with a punch, there was between 2 to 5 second delay, and look at his face contort. It's like it was at that point the brain and the body said, "No more. I quit. Can't do this no more." Bang! You see it, and he's on the canvas. Can't do it no more. Been to the well too many times, taking too many punches in your career, and that what you saw tonight or last night was the, you know, recycle. This is what happens in the end. Brandon Rios needs to retire. I know Naz talked about, Princess Mohammed talked about Junior retiring. He is on one of my lists too. You need to retire, and retire now, son. And that's Brandon Rios. Got a beautiful family. Retire, son. I don't know about your financial situation. Retire. You know what I mean? Retire. I don't want to see guys like that. That when you get knocked out like that, nah, you need to retire. Another man that comes on the list here is Manny Pacquiao. You need to retire. But again, it comes back to what I said, the recklessness. You know, reckless outside the ring, financial difficulties. This is why guys like them are still fighting. Let's be honest. It's not because they love the sport of boxing or he loves Bob. It's nothing to do with loving Bob. It's financial difficulties, and that is what it's about. So these fighters, I think every fighter needs to understand the financial side of things. Not the boxer today, a fighter today needs to understand needs to have a good trainer that understands the sport of boxing, attack, defense, you know, fitness, strength conditioning, you know, diet. All these things need to be looked at. Plus, you need to look at an accountant. Then you need to look at somebody who's going to be able to mentor you, a financial mentor, as to how you spend your money and where you're investing your money into. And look into what you're going to do after boxing, whether you're going to go into becoming a trainer, whether you're going to go into promotions, whether you're going to be a boxing manager, what are you going to do with your career afterwards? And all these fighters need to be thinking that way. They need to be thinking like a brand. That's how they have to think now. That's how they think now. So, you know, it's a sad case when you see certain fighters and you know they're broke, and you know the only reason why they're fighting is because they're broke. And as far as I am concerned, nobody else's opinion, Manny Pacquiao now is a journeyman. What? Well, yeah. I mean, really? I mean, how many more times can Pacquiao go to, well, the only thing left for Pacquiao now, which you've seen it go with Marcus, is him to get absolutely annihilated by somebody now. That's the final chapter in Pacquiao's career, to get completely annihilated by somebody. That's it. That's it. I mean, imagine Pacquiao as a sponge, and there's water in it, and you're wringing it dry and wringing it dry and wringing it dry. Pacquiao now is a situation where there's no water in the actual sponge, and you're still looking for water. You know what I mean? He's another one I don't like. See him, Roy Jones Jr. Why are you still fighting? You know, it's just sad to see. Right, so let's talk about some other issues. As for Danny Garcia, as I said, it looked to me that he was just taking his time with Rios, and I think he could have ended that fight anytime he wanted to, really. And I think he put a little bit more on that punch, that right hand, softened up. He was softening up Rios, and then took him out. And yeah, he looked completely in control for my. Yeah, the only time Garcia looked, it was when he was making basic mistakes, pulling back with his chin in the air, and not paying attention to defense. But I like Garcia. I really do like Garcia. I like he's a good fighter. He does cop a lot of stick. But yes, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence. Those are three fighters that I'd like to see him, fighting. But I understand his pops. And I understand, the whole thing with that. Boxing fans, they want to see you fight King Kong one day, Godzilla the next day, and then come back and fight King Kong again. Boxing fans, particularly ones that don't understand, never got in the ring and taken a punch in anger, they want to see you fight the best of the best over and over and over and over again. And then you got to fight somebody now, and then 2 months later on, you got to fight somebody else, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, you got to fight somebody else, and they're all top 1, 2, 3 fighters. And barring a Super 6 tournament or Super 8 tournament, a guy that does that is going to have a short career, particularly in this. You're going to have a short career, so you've got to, draw your career out and ensure that you can make as much money as possible. Because when you get banged up or you get injured in boxing, the fans aren't going to help you. We've seen that time and time again. We've got Edward Goodnick, where he's in a position now with George Groves, the situation of George Groves, or with situations with Michael Watson or other fighters around the world, Gerald McLennan, who've been injured. And most boxing fans would rather look at the current fighters and not talk about situations like that. So if that's the case, then fighters need to look after themselves and their best interests. You know what I mean? Fans can demand and demand and demand and demand, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, are they considering the fighters' health and safety? No, they don't care about the fighters' health and safety. They just want great fights and want to be entertained, and I don't blame them. But the fighter needs to also consider their own. Nobody knows about any injuries fighters have suffered in their careers and stuff. I said a long time ago, I didn't think Danny Garcia was the same fighter after the Lucas Matisse fight. I said that. Did it was injury or what? He didn't seem the same fighter. And they try to slow his career down and not take too many tough fights. Now, there may be reasons behind that we are not aware of. It may just look like they're cherry picking, and I understand the whole cherry picking thing, but this is a guy who was arguably the best light welterweight in the world after he beat Khan. He was pretty good fighter. Yes, I know the fight. Even I admit he lost. I thought he lost to Lamont Peterson. The Herrera fight. I know, but it is what it is, and. I do want to see Garcia in the big fights, and I have no doubt that Garcia will get himself in the big fights. He's been in the big fights before, from Eric Morales to fighting, what's the gentleman's name? Lucas Matisse. When everyone was ducking Lucas Matisse, he went in there and he took the fight. So I don't think he's a ducker at all, Danny Garcia. He fought Keith Thurman, so I don't think he's a ducker. I just think they're just trying to manage his career in a certain way, and fair play. I'm not taking the blows, so fair play to them. But yes, I would, like anybody else, like to see him with the big fights. Oh, sorry, people in the room. What about Adrien Broner? Well, okay. Look, Adrien Broner was Adrien Broner. Let's be honest. His career, he was great at lightweight. And again, here we go. Adrien Broner. I'll break it down for you. Adrien Broner, when he was at lightweight, he was a monster. He was massive for the weight, and he was a big bully at the weight. Okay, and that's fine. But here's a guy that lacked discipline. His body couldn't keep with the lightweight division. So what happens? He moves up to light welterweight, moves up to welterweight, and the style he has where he walks you down, that's all well and good, and being flat-footed. That's all well and good when you're physically stronger than the guys you're fighting. But when you move up in weight, and then you're meeting guys who are taller than you, longer reach than you, physically stronger than you, and you still try and do that walking down style, it don't work. And you know, you can pot shot and you can take your time and you can, you know, not throw some punches for a couple of rounds here and there, and then suddenly for a flashy combination, you hurt your guy and get your guy out there down at lightweight. That crap don't work with your middle welterweight, because all the guys you're fighting now are physically as strong or stronger than you. So when that happens, you're now trying to walk guys down who are physically stronger than you, and your skill set's not that great anyway. So Broner, he's got two halves of Broner's career. You've got the lightweight half of his career, where he was an absolute beast, and people saying he was going to be the next Mayweather. There's that side of his career. And then there's the B side, the welterweight career, light welterweight career. And when you reach 20-foot Maidana, I don't think he ever recovered from that fight. And so now he's aware of what his limitations are. Of Adrien Broner, he's very aware of what his limitations are. He knows he's physically not as strong as some of those welterweights out there, but his heart is what gets him through the fights. And he is skillful to a point, but where he was most effective is at lightweight. Why, for me, he didn't stay at why he didn't come and fight in light welterweight, I don't know. Again, discipline. And of course, Broner is going to be one of those guys, I suspect, when we look down a few years from now, he'll end up being broke. And he's going to be one of those guys that will come back. And because of the way he fights, he will end up being knockout highlight. He'll be on knockout highlights. You heard it here first. I don't know why he's going off the rails the way he does, but I can't speak on another man's problems, but we know that there are some issues there. There may be some challenges there with Broner that were always there, but money and high profile has highlighted those things even more so now. What do I think of Tyson's cousin, Isaac Lowe? Yep, if you check this channel out, I have interviewed Isaac Lowe. In fact, I spoke to Isaac for almost an hour on the channel. So it was, I think it was in his house I interviewed him. Isaac Lowe's a very talented fighter, and I'm sure he'll come again. Good fighter, Isaac Lowe. Evening, and great shows over the weekend. Thanks for taking the time to do it. Hey, Mr. Cantonar, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time for tuning in and giving us the feedback. Pacquiao has a great legacy, still does, but it's going to be tarnished badly if he keeps on. I look at him as just a journeyman now. I cannot look at Manny Pacquiao, you know, back in the day when Pacquiao knocked out Hatton. I can't look at that Pacquiao. I'm sorry, that's not the Pacquiao we've got in 2018. Pacquiao should be retired. Straight up, man should be retired. So to me, he's a journeyman now. Because I don't want, like, you know, people say, oh, well, Terence Crawford will beat him, or Lomachenko will beat him. Well, so if Lomachenko beats him, so what? That's what I say. Journeyman. What's his name? Brandon Rios. Journeyman. What's his other guy's name? Coming over to fight Frampton. Donaire. Journeyman. I'm not saying they can't fight. I'm not even saying they can't win fights. But I'm telling you, if they get beat, that's what they are. Sorry. And if they do win, good for them. Let them get the money. But sounds like a contradiction there. But I still think guys like Donaire, something's gone wrong in these people's careers why they keep on fighting. And like I said, it's not because they love a good fight. You know, can you imagine all these men, you know, countless men in these relationships having to pull away from their wives and their girlfriends and their newborn babies or their children to go and fight, not knowing that they're going to get out the fight healthy and safe and well. Each and every time they're taking their life, putting their life on the line, not knowing they're going to come back and see their child, or being able to see their child and spend the money they want to spend the way they want to spend it. Do they really want to be doing that? Come on, no. I don't believe that. Pacquiao's got a big heart, gave most of the wealth away to the poor Philippines. Well, I think that's what they might want to let us know that, but I think Pacquiao's been badly advised. That's what I think. Garcia should have had 4 losses. Thurman, Theophane, Herrera, Peterson. Okay, I'm not disputing that, mate. I'm not disputing that for 1 second. That's a bloody pillow. Alexander got robbed. Dev Alexander getting robbed. I will say this much. When a fight that happens between Alexander and Ortiz, the first thing that comes to mind is, what's the agenda here? It's the same thing. I mean, history repeats itself. What's the agenda here? Who is Ortiz going to be the sacrificial lamb for? Is it Amir Khan? Is it Keith Thurman? Is it a Danny Garcia fight? Is it a Brandon Rios fight? Who is he going to get recycled for? Is there a movie coming out soon? People think it's a conspiracy theory. No, we've seen it before. So what's the plan with Ortiz, Victor Ortiz? Is he going to be? Is he one of the 3 fighters that Khan will fight? I don't know. So all I say, time will reveal why Ortiz won that fight. Time will reveal. We won't get it today or tomorrow, but let's just see who Victor Ortiz's next fight will be against. Will it be a rubber match with Andre Berto? Where's he gone? Would it be a rubber match with Andre Berto? Because didn't Berto lose to Ortiz, and then Berto came back and knocked Ortiz out? So that'd be 1-1. So you tell me. Most fighters who fight past their prime and clearly getting into the older years are only fighting because they need the money and are short of it, debt or whatever issues they're going through. Indeed, there you go. So there's that situation right there. Is there anything else I need to talk about tonight? I spoke about Chris Eubank Jr. and my thoughts on what he needs to be doing with his career. Porter looked petrified from Spence. He's scared to even mention his name. There might be a reason why that is. There might be a reason why that is. Oh, Keith Thurman. Keith, once upon a time, Thurman. You know, I love Keith, but the impression I get of him now is like, you know, as some guy who's really hungry at the start, and now they get to the top of the mountain, they're like a fat cat. That sort of fat cat mentality. That's what it seems. We've done it. We've arrived. I'm the man. So what? I'm the man. That sort of mentality. And I think it's beginning to peel a lot of the people in boxing off. But I've said it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again about Keith Thurman and injuries. And I said it since the fight he had against, I think the last time I did an interview with him, that was the time I felt the Bundu fight. The Bundu fight is when I thought that Thurman had a problem in terms of knocking people out. The knockouts dried up. And I think the shoulder injury, he's messed up his shoulder, and I don't think he's ever going to be the puncher that he once was. So I've always felt that about Thurman. So now you're talking about injury here, injury there, injury here. Well, he needs to rest. He's going to come back. You're talking about coming back fighting in July or October. Now he's saying he's fighting May 19th. Well, let's see how he does. But Thurman needs to get back and let people know that he's still about. But of course, Spence is the guy that everybody is talking about. He put a beat on Lamont Peterson, but to be fair, I don't know what the hell Lamont Peterson was playing. I don't know what Lamont Peterson's strategy was against a guy who's physically stronger than him to try and walk Spence down. No idea. I don't understand. Right. I just want to talk briefly on Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. If the fight goes ahead, at the moment, and I've said it before and I keep on saying it, I see Wilder absolutely drilling Ortiz. I really do. I really see it happening. But people don't get the message. They come in here and they try and be rude, and what ends up happening is they get blocked. And I don't know why they do it. I've got no idea why they do it. I never understood why they do it. I think Ortiz will beat Wilder. Have you seen Wilder on the punching bag? Looks like a novice. Yeah, he might look like a novice. But the one thing that boy can do is punch. And I've said it so many times about Luis Ortiz. And I hope I'm proven wrong. But I said, how many guys has Luis Ortiz fought that can punch? Now, he's now going to fight not a guy who can just punch, but a guy who's very fast with it. However, Wilder makes a lot of mistakes. He overreaches with his punches. He punches, he leaves his chin up in the air when he's throwing punches. He moves straight back from punches. He leaves his arms in the air when he's getting caught with shots. Very, 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 very dangerous things to do. Very amateurish. Not sold on the Benavides guy. Your thoughts? I didn't watch him. Sorry, I have to go back and watch the fight. I didn't see it. Wilder has that, what Teddy Ellis calls the equalizer. He has, and the sooner people understand that about Deontay Wilder, the better. Yes, he looks ugly. Yes, he don't look great, or to win millions times. But listen, he is by far the most devastating heavyweight on the planet. Highlights will show you that. There's nobody else, the top 5 in world boxing today, that gets knockouts like that. Nobody. Nobody. Where he hits you and you're on the deck and you're shaking. Nobody in world boxing hits like that. Nobody. Don't mention Anthony Joshua, because he's throwing a combination and the referee's coming in trying to stop the fight. Or in the last fight, well, the referee wanted to stop the fight with, what's the guy's name? Takam. I mean, Takam didn't need to be stopped. That was not a fair stoppage. So you tell me. The same equalizer we're talking about tonight on FM18. Yep, we should be starting shortly, actually. Next 10 minutes, I've got to start on that. So, yeah. There's anything else I should talk about? So I'm going to go in depth about Wilder Ortiz. I'll do a breakdown video on that. Just some advice. Oh, shout out here again to Denise Wards. She just sent me a message on Twitter, Facebook actually. Oh, before I go today, I really want you all to join. I'd like you to join our Facebook group. I really will. I'm going to leave the link for you guys in the description box if I go. But I want you all to get in there so I can like post and leave messages for you and talk to you guys and girls. Got some nice people here. Duke McKenzie's in the group. Dave Higgins is in the group. Quite some really, really good names in boxing are in the group, and I'd really like you to be a part of it. So I'm going to try and post a link in the description box. I won't let me. Okay, so I'll have to type it in there. So if you go to Google, type in BWTM Sports Channel Group. Yep. If you type that in Facebook, that's the Facebook page, okay? Oh, the BWTM Sports Channel Group and BWTM Sports Channel. Okay, 13 rounds of boxing. But Pacquiao beat the shit out of Jeff Horn. How can you say Pacquiao is a journeyman? He beat Jeff Horn. Horn beat Vargas. He beat Vargas too. He got robbed. Okay. Right. If you understand what I said, I'll explain myself again if I wasn't clear. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. When I mean journeyman, I mean a guy that should be retired. A guy now, for the way I'm looking at boxing, not the general term of journeyman. Journeyman meaning a guy, in my mind, that should be retired. A guy, in my mind, that's past his sell-by date. A guy, in my mind, that's only been recycled and generate some money. That's the only reason why. Recycled. I'm not going to sit here and say, Lomachenko's fighting Pacquiao. What a great fight that is. No. Lomachenko's fighting a journeyman. Why? Because you're taking the shadow of a fighter and then taking all the glory for it. No. That's not right. I don't think that's right. If Lomachenko goes and fights... just example, he went and fought some like Mikey Garcia. Just give an example. He fought Mikey Garcia, or he fought what's his name, Tank Davis, and he beat Tank Davis. Give him more credit for that than beating Pacquiao. Do you get what I'm saying? Pacquiao, Rios, Donaire, Roy Jones Jr., James Toney. All them, Shannon Briggs, all them guys are recycled, and for me, done, finished. That's what I mean by the journeyman thing. That in my mind, my mindset is I'm not going to sit down and get caught up in like, oh, Pacquiao's a great, he's an weight world champion, blah blah blah. Yeah, he is. I'm not saying he isn't, but don't try and sell me that he's still the guy that knocked out Hatton. He's not. And that's where, you know, I can't respect now a fighter that goes and fight like Lomachenko goes and fights Pacquiao now and beats Pacquiao. Well, you want me to say, yeah, he's the greatest fighter in the planet? No, I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, if a man like that who's recycled and's got some financial difficulties, he's trying to make himself some money, who am I to say to him, don't do it? What I'm saying is, I cannot honor that fight and say that's a great fight. In my day, he may put up a great fight, but it's not a great fight in my mindset because the guy we're looking at there, we're being sold, the promoter's going to sell it. He's got lots of fights left in his career. No, he hasn't. And I'm thinking about long-term, wear and tear, family, and all the rest of it. That's my point. Bermain Stavern, well, that's another guy. Well, you wouldn't say he's recycled. Well, or is he? I don't know. He hasn't had, the one thing about Stavern, he hasn't had punishing fights in his career. You could say the same thing about David Haye. The first punishing fight he had, really, honestly, was the Bellew fight, and he was injured through that. So they say you're never the same fighter again. I can see what you mean about since Pacquiao is a senator and a boxer and can't do both, but I still think he's better than 95% of the welterweights out there. I just disagree, brother. That's understandable. 95% of the welterweights today. But let me ask you a question, brother. In terms of the caliber of the welterweights today, outside the top 5 or 6, I mean, there's a gap between the top 5 and the rest of the division. Would you agree with me on that? So he'd say he'd beat most of them. I don't know if he'd beat Spence. I don't know if he'd beat Thurman. I don't know if he'd beat Porter. But that's 3 there already. The fight I'd like to have seen was Pacquiao versus Broner. When Broner, before, I would rather have seen Broner fight Pacquiao than Broner fight Maidana. That's a fight I would like to have seen. I'd rather seen that fight. And if Broner was going to get beat, I'd rather Broner have got beat by Pacquiao than get beat by Maidana. You know? But anyway, that's beside the point. Pacquiao's a great fighter. He'd beat 95% of the fighters. I don't know about 95%. But we'll talk about it. We'll definitely talk about it. Maybe I'll have to do a separate video on Pacquiao and where he is now, where he fits in 2018. He beat Jeff Horn, but really? Is Jeff Horn is Jeff Horn the barometer stick for the welterweight division? I wouldn't have thought so. Is Jesse Vargas the barometer stick for the welterweight division? I wouldn't have thought so. So he'll beat guys like that, of course, and he did beat Jeff Horn in my opinion. But again, what was behind Jeff Horn winning the fight in Australia? A cash cow, lots of money to be made. I understand that. Thurman, Porter, Garcia, Broner, I believe Pacquiao can still beat. Spencer and Crawford, I'm not sure on. Okay, I ain't so sure, but okay. I mean, you talk about that now. Remember, if you're going to put Pacquiao on with them guys now, we're talking about time and season. And maybe he may have beaten those guys 6 months ago. He had a hard fight with Jeff Horn. That wear and tear affects your body, and the man's getting older. So I can't agree with you there, brother. I really can't. It's not like he had an easy fight with Jeff Horn or an easy fight with Bradley. You know, and I wouldn't say that Jeff Horn is technically gifted. I mean, you're talking like Jeff Horn is some pound for pound great. He's technically not gifted. He's very limited. Jeff Horn the other day didn't look great against Gary Cochran, but just putting it out there. Too bad that 5% consists of the top 10 guys. Yeah, Pacquiao is fighting for retirement money, of course. Like I said earlier. And he has nothing left to prove or give. I agree. Thurman and Porter would beat Pacquiao. I agree now. Oh, yeah. This is my final point before I finish now. Got to try and bring some consistency to the channel. It's a sports channel, and I've got a lot of work to do on it. So we've got to decide. Maybe I'm going to have 2 days of the week, possibly, where we're going to have a broadcast, maybe 2 days a week. I don't know which 2 days yet. I'm trying to get some structure for 2018. 2 days a week broadcasting with the sports channel. Because I've got a lot of work to do with the news channel and the gaming channel. So I've got a lot of work to do, a lot of pushing out to do. I just got to decide what 2 days is going to be, whether it'll be I don't know. You'll have to let me know. What 2 days you think would be best to have a channel? You should make a video on Pacquiao. I'm subscribing, bro. Great channel. Thank you very much, chat. I appreciate that. Listen, I love Manny Pacquiao, but I have some very strong views about Manny Pacquiao. And it's not, I'm going to use a word here, and I always get emotional when I think about Pacquiao because I'm always concerned that, I always think that I always feel with him that he's fighting not because he wants to, but because he has to. I always think he's fighting because he's told to. Against his will. You You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, sort of plantation sort of stuff. That's why I feel with Pacquiao. I don't think he's done himself any favors, but I want to look into it a little further. And I think there's a contract that's got him by the nuts. That's what I feel about Pacquiao. Because I remember when he said he was going to retire, and then he just got wheeled back out again and was fighting. So I don't know. I just don't know. Big up my main man, Ingram Jones. Hello, brother. Hey, how we doing? Hope you're well. People only care about the sports, mate. That's what I'm saying. So this is a sports channel. I agree. Even when he loses, there's no emotion there. Yeah, that's it. There you go. So you tell me what you think. Because I would really like to know what you think. But that's my thoughts on Pacquiao. We'll do a video on it soon. But I'm closing 2 days a week in terms of the sports channel. You guys let me know when you think the best 2 days are. It's interesting because, like we did, do you feel anyone would ever be a 8 division world champion again? Yes. Yes. I'll tell you why. I don't know if I'd say they were legitimate champions. And with this catch weight garbage that's going on, it's possible. There are more belts. Okay? So, you know, if there were less belts, there'd be less of a chance of it happening. And less weight divisions, there'd be less of a chance happening. Let's say if we're back in the day where we had welterweight, middleweight, heavyweight, or we had less weight divisions, that crap would have been happening. So when we look at the weight division they're going up in, you know, and all the catch weights that were happening and guys moving down to meet the fight. So I'll meet you at 142, 147. One of the biggest mysteries, I'm going to end on this point. One of the get Prince Naz on your channel, bro. It'd be epic. He has been on the channel. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays would work, bro. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, the thing is, I'm hopping over here and there. The thing is, a Tuesday and Thursday, look what happened to us Saturday night. Eubank Jr. called that Caleb Truax. Within, what, 15 minutes? Caleb Truax rung the show. Okay? So really, if I were to do a Tuesday and Thursday, what happens on a Saturday night when we do live commentary? You've got to have another day for that. So, you know, and let's say there's breaking news between like Monday and Wednesday. And what about a Sunday? Would a Sunday work? I thought Sunday would be great. Check out our channel. Look out for the Prince Nazim Ahmed interview. What a great man Prince is. It's so funny. So funny. But rest in peace his keep up spontaneous if you can, I reckon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I do try and keep up spontaneous, but more pressure is on myself now to now conform to certain ways. If you make it spontaneous, then what happens is people don't know when you're going to be on your channel. And people like consistency, and I appreciate that. And if people knew, right, I know that BWTM Sports are going to be on Tuesday and Thursday, that's it. When you turn on the TV, you know that generally Sky Sports are going to show boxing on a Saturday night. And generally, on a Saturday night, if it's going to be international boxing, you're going to be you're going to be up till maybe 4, 5 o'clock in the morning watching for a big fight. You know that. You understand where to go. If there's box office, you know where to go. You click the channel, you go to box office, you know where to go and how to click in. You know, ITV4 is where the big fight is. You know, you pay-per-view, you know what you have to do. You understand? You know, Box Nation, certain nights, this is where you get to see. And so the spontaneous thing, while I've been a big believer in a spontaneous thing for years, I don't think the spontaneous thing works anymore. And I'm one for being spontaneous, but I put my hands up and say, you know what? We need to have some consistency now on days. So yeah, so I don't know, I don't quite know. Tuesday and Thursday is a good idea, I think. I'll have a word with a few others as well. So definitely want Tuesday and Thursdays. We want to get more sports in the channel as well. So that's something I definitely be working on. So right, that's it. I need to get myself over to the gaming channel. We've got a lot of work to do over there. Right. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. Join while you're at it right now. Get yourself over on Google, not on Google, on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, and join us now on our BWTM Sports channel group. Get over there, get yourself signed up, become a member, and then you'll get the breaking news and the videos before they come out on Twitter even. Right, I'm out of here. Good night.